Good, absolutely freezing day. Let's talk about how psilocybin helps autoimmune disease, especially neuroLyme. This is the best thing I've done. Out of everything I've done, I have to say, I was impressed. It's been one of the only things that actually finally made a huge difference in my recovery. I mean, it's been studied especially with Lyme, with neuroLyme, and as I said, with autoimmune disease because of its potential anti-inflammatory effects. And it's incredible. I know many of you might not be familiar with this substance, but I'm talking about microdosing. Microdosing is taking like really small amounts where obviously you're not going to feel the, let's say, psychedelic effects of these substances, but you're going to feel the anti-inflammatory properties and and a lot more. So yeah. So when you start taking it, it takes more or less a couple of weeks. Obviously, it goes beyond just lowering inflammation, which it does a lot more than that. But the anti-inflammatory action study showed that psilocybin can immediately reduce concentration of pro-inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF-α. It also appears to regulate pathways involved in inflammation such as EL6, EL17 pathway, and yeah, that's incredible. That means your brain inflammation can incredibly lower while on it. Also, it changes your nervous system state. So for patients that have neuroborreliosis or Bartonellosis, affecting especially the nervous system, brain, and so on, it's gonna change that nervous system state where you are constantly in, this fight or flight, absolutely out of this planet um, state. And it just gonna calm down everything so much. It's just, I have no words. Until that point, I was already better, but I was still very inflamed. Something clicked, my nervous system immediately changed, and that finally started my full-on recovery. Also, there are studies linking it to changes in the microbiome. Really, for SIBO, for many other things, I mean, it's kind of subtle. It's not something that you're going to be like, hey, I'm fantastic from one day to the other, but it's short lived. In a couple of weeks, a person that unfortunately has, the symptoms like huge anxiety, depersonalization, all the neuroborreliosis symptoms that of this kind, like extreme depression, and so on and on. Also, for mast cell activation syndrome, it will incredibly reduce the inflammation, and that's always a help. Remember, once again, that inflammation stops you from detoxing. So once you start doing something about inflammation, your body's going to respond, finally being able to release all that crap that's keeping the inflammation in a loop. Because many times the problem with inflammation is that it gets stuck in loops of hell, like histamine, estrogen, you know. Um, so yeah, if you're not familiar with it, please have a look. Really research into it. I'm gonna put as much information. I'm also coaching people into going through it and integrating, because it's not just about, this is not just a supplement that you take and forget about it. This is something that you actually have to work with it, because at the beginning, like when you have a, let's call it, neuroherd reaction, where you're clearing toxins, and you go through many phases, and many times you don't know how to properly address them, because what psilocybin does is makes you face these demons in a way that you can actually perceive them from an outsider, like, so you can process them. No, it's not like you're getting overwhelmed by all the emotions that come into you, but more something to do with things are going to come up where when you clear your liver, that happens. When you clear all these kind of neurotoxins, that happens already. But this allows you to actually be able to process it, and that's where the integration coaching helps, because if you have someone else helping you go through it, helping you understand the reason why all these feelings and emotions and crap that these neurotoxins as they live make you feel, that's going to help a lot. Um, it can also happen while dreaming, and it's such a weird feeling, but something that would take a year to process. It takes days, and after that, that's it. You don't have to go through it again. So that's the power of psilocybin, and the power that relies on basically turning off the the autopilots, all these autopilots that we have in our brain, where we don't even realize that we do, when they are turned off for a few seconds. With microdosing, it works a bit different. No, they are constantly micro interrupted, and that way you can start processing things at the same time as adding new habits, and just changing the patterns. And that's what is also going to help this. And yeah, amazing. I mean, I'm going to go into it deeply, but if you are taking them, if you need help, please contact me. I can, if you need any help processing it and going through it, integrating everything that you go through as you live it. And yeah, and regarding other kinds of inflammation that we live with, Lyme and other diseases of this kind, pain related, same thing. I mean, serotonin receptors are also involved in how we perceive pain. So it's incredibly helpful in pain related issues. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.